What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Dan, Nubby, Radical, how y'all doing? Mr. Stanley, how are you? Guys, I got to tell you right now, okay? If it were not for the wife unit, I would still be in the digital dark ages, if it will, because well, let's put it this way: my video game career that peaked out with the Atari 2600 console. Okay, so here we are.
Hey, don't diss the Atari.
I'm not dissing the Atari, okay? I mean, it's just the fact of the matter is were it not for you and your nerdism, I would still be, probably running around in a bearskin thong and, jotting down post-it notes with a stone axe.
I'm pretty sure I can find bearskin thongs on Etsy.
Hey, don't go looking for bearskin thongs on Etsy, okay? Ignore that. I'm telling y'all right now, ignore that. Shelby, what's happening, brother? The White Smokem's in the house. What's happening, man? Captain Jerry. If anybody here wants a regret in life, let me work on your motorcycles. Come on, Jerry. It ain't that bad. It ain't. It can't be. Georgia Hillbilly, how you doing tonight, man? Mad Yankee, what's up, brother? You can keep your hides, man. Keep them nailed on the barn door. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all for it. It's just down here, wrong climate, brother. I mean, we get like 3 days where it might dip into the 40s, and that's a big damn line. Well, D. White Smokums, I appreciate that, but as you can see, I'm still fat and happy. I'm hydrodynamic, okay? Huh. Jerry, you make it down this way, Bubby. You can borrow one of my bikes, all right? Adam Langlois from Ontario, here in Canada's Florida. Um, um, I'm not quite sure how to react to that one. I mean, the wife unit's giving it a thumbs up, but you know,
I have cousins in British Columbia and Alberta. So yeah, I will accept that.
okay, sick bastard, what's going on, buddy? Hey man, I was trying to watch your live stream the other day, and then right then, all of a sudden, my phone decided, hey, I need to update and improve myself, and then it screwed itself over for about the next 6 hours. So I kind of got shot down on that. Sorry about that, brother. Julie, how you doing this evening, ma'am? That's right, Nubby. Fat and Sassy Gang in the house. Now, by the way, y'all, this is in no way an endorsement for Checkers because it's not. This is what you call desperation dining, okay? They're right up the road from the house. Oh, Salty Badger, how you doing, man? I love the handle. I love it.
Well, just add seasoning.
Yeah, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of cayenne. Still got your cape on? That's all good, Julie. I got a cape too. It's got a logo on the back. Every now and then I hear theme music, at least in my head, and then I wake up and everybody's staring at me and wondering why I'm coated in peanut butter.
I am not responsible for the peanut butter.
Well, most time. Hey, not kink shaming. Everybody's got their hang-ups.
Oh my god.
What? What? With the stuff that you read, you got no room to talk, woman.
It's literature.
Oh, come on. Really? Brother Buck, nice to see you in here, man. Bell Super Cruiser or Buell Super Cruiser. Why did I read that as Bell? Been a long day, y'all. Honestly, I can't tell you squat about it because I haven't looked at it that hard. And the truth of the matter is, it's really not something that's on my radar. Honestly, I think that they are going to try to turn this into some bougie boutique type of motorcycle. And it's going to probably be fairly limited production if it ever gets released to the general public. And it's kind of think of Bimoda. Um, it's probably the vibe I'm getting is probably going to go along those lines because it's going to be limited release, low production. The price tag is going to be that they say that it's starting here, but it's going to go and eventually it's going to price itself out of the reach of most normal enthusiasts to the point to where it's it's the new it's the big dog chopper for the 21st century. Basically, it's that kind of flex. Oh, corn pop, you're going fishing? Dude, enjoy that, man, and enjoy spending time with your dad. Seriously, there ain't a whole lot in this world I regret. That's one of them. I wish I could have spent a little bit more time with my pop. Trying to be a hot rod low rider. Yeah, yeah, you ain't too far off mark here, Jerry. Current Buell strikes me as a company that makes more noise than motorcycles. You ain't too far off the mark here with that one either, because the thing is, we've seen a bunch of press photos, we've seen a bunch of fluke video and everything. Put this thing out there in the real world, okay? I mean, let turn this thing over to some magazine guys. Turn this thing over to some YouTube guys. Let them take it out and flog it. All right, let's peek under the hood, so to speak, and see what it's got and where it's coming up short from. They probably don't want they don't want me anywhere near it because I'll pick that damn thing to death. Oh, oh man, you work with your old man. Oh man, I I did that for a little bit with my dad, and I'm not going to say that it wasn't interesting, but there was a few times I'm like, Dad, you can't do that. You can't. But that's just dad. Let's see here. Kevin Kilrakis, 89 or '09 Nomad 1700, trying to put back together after stolen, can't find parts anywhere. Oh, dude, that's an easy one. Uh, as far as like a reference microfiche for OEM parts, worldofpowersports.com. That's going to be the easiest one I can point you to. As far as used stuff goes, there's a place over on the east coast of Florida that does a lot of late model metric stuff. It's called American Bike Strippers. I might want to do some Googling, but they're in Melbourne, Florida. Check those guys out. And if if they don't have it under the roof, they can put it out on a locator to where they can find it for you pretty easily. Let's see here. Work related question. Oh Lord. Uh 2017 SSR Buccaneer. Okay. On that right there, you are talking about a motors themselves. I'll tell you right now, they are pretty much a one-to-one direct clone of the Virago 250. The only thing is the metallurgy just isn't there. Alloys are a lot softer. Maintenance is going to be a lot more frequent, and it's going to necessarily be a lot more frequent, like oil changes, valve adjustments, stuff like that. The rest of the bike, if it's the one I'm thinking of, they're pretty close to a straight one-to-one copy of the Virago 250. It's just the quality of the components, especially the rubber products they put in there, like hoses, tires, rubber grommets, chassis grommets, things like that. That stuff degrades stupid fast. So that's something you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on. John Stanley, cranky 3-year-old. Brother, I remember those days. I do. I do. Oh, and by the way, there's something coming your way, sir.
Well, it's our own eggs that have the cranky
Well,
now.
well, Well, almost. Well,
Karma.
a
It's
little
karma.
over 2-year-old. Yeah, yeah. The eldest egg. She is. We're living vicariously through her suffering. Let's put it that way. Corn Pop, I absolutely agree with you, man. And props to you. Evening, Mr. Johnny Seacrest. How are you doing? Let's see here. Man, I tried fly fishing a few times, and I'll tell you right now, I just never could get the whole thing going on. I had this one lady come over. She's tried to jam up after that. But you give me, I mean, be honest here. You give me a good flipping stick with a spinning reel on there, I'm in good shape. Liam, how you doing this evening, sir? John Stanley, you started late. You're 40, brother. Hey, we did everything backwards. Okay, I mean, I'm coming up on 48 here. I'm on the backside of 47, and
Oh, wait, yeah, your birthday is coming up.
yeah,
Oh.
roughly a month from now, but roughly we're going to go with that. But I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around this whole grandpa thing. All right.
You've got the gray hair at least.
Let's see here. Okay, so the reason I brought y'all all together here this evening. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not how that's supposed to start. That sounds bad. Now, I wanted to kind of expand a little bit on some of the stuff that I was touching on Monday's video with hen's teeth. Um, excuse me. There was uh there was one part of it where I was showing everybody where the oil leak was, on the side of the angle drive and all that. There's actually a couple of problem areas in there, but since I got to go as deep as I've got to go to do the angle drive, while we're there, we're doing the gasket for the angle drive. We're also doing the shift shaft seal. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild the water pump while I'm there because the water pumps on them, they can leak oil or water. So it's knocking on the door 40 years old. I figure we might as well knock it all out in one shot. And that way, hopefully we won't have to do anything from that point moving forward. But, I had a couple people ask me, they're like, hey, how come you're not putting the forks on there? Basically, I was kind of surprised because when we first did the build on the front end on that bike, the forks were gouged up on that thing so bad. I thought, man, there's no way seals are going to hold on this thing because I mean it was rough. Y'all seen the scratches on it. I mean, you didn't see them the way I did. Okay, those things are deep. It's like somebody held it in a freaking bench vise and then they tried to yoink on it with a damn pipe wrench wrapped around it. And I smoothed them out. And I thought, man, if it makes it a week, it'll be a miracle. And here we are, 5 months and counting later. I've had just enough seepage out of one side to where I could wipe my finger on it and feel it just a little bit oily. So at this point, I'm kind of halfway curious to see how long they'll actually go before I got a problem with them. Running down the dream. I'm sorry, I just now saw you, man. The YouTube refreshed on you, so let's walk that back a little bit. Tell me where we left off at, and that way I can kind of bring you up to speed here, dude. Heck, Grandpa life, Grandpa life is great.
Everybody wants to know your birthday, and now they're commiserating with you.
Well, it's in October. Let's put it that way. It's in early October. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Great price employee. Wow, I haven't heard that in forever. Well, full disclosure here, there's something wrong with me on a genetic level because I can still remember my associate's ID and my login for Montgomery Ward from way back in the day. All right, cool, man. First name, how are you doing, brother? I just now seen you was in here. But anyway, no, like I was saying, on hen's teeth, the forks, we're going to let them ride because I'm kind of at a point right now where I'm just kind of curious to see how long they're going to make it. But also on that thing, while I've got it apart, I've got to do neck bearings in it. I got to pull the ass end off of it to take care of the oil leaks and whatnot. I got to deal with coolant leaks, so I got to have the carburetors back out of it. I'm kind of halfway rolling around the idea I might squirt a little bit of paint on the thing here and there. And I don't know. We're going to see how that plays out. But if I do, some people may like it, some people may hate it. But hey, here it is. The original paint scheme on the Eliminators, you had two options. You had fire engine red and you had gloss black. Both of them look good, don't get me wrong. But I've been slowly accumulating the parts and pieces from my 250 Eliminator from way back when. And I've got just about everything gathered up now to where I can put the little bikini fairing around the headlight that the 250 had. And also, I found a chin fairing that goes under the bottom of the radiator. Now, obviously, the one from the 250 isn't going to fit on the 900. It's a lot wider, but it's something I can work with where I can kind of modify it, split it, widen it out, stretch it a little bit, and basically build like a supersized version, from the 250 Eliminator I had back when I was a kid. So if I pull that one off, I'm going to paint it that same candy cardinal red that Kawasaki put on the 250 back in. And it's really a pretty color. It's a little bit darker than fire engine red. It's almost borderline a wine red, but it's got a real subtle metallic in it. I figure, hey, if we're going to do all that stuff, why not go ahead and give it the full blown. Hey, Razzo from LA, what's happening, man? Thank you for joining us tonight, Bubba. Yeah, corn pop. Yeah, you the youngin' in the house there, boy.
No, that would be our son.
Well, yeah, but he is he on or is he still plugged in? I don't think he's on. Petty Officer Squid Boy, if you're in the chat, sound off. Nope. Okay. All right, so we can trash talk him and we're safe. I ain't gonna do that. My kids get enough of that from me as it is. Neil, 100%, brother. Growing old, that's a fact of life. Growing up, that's an elective. You ain't got to do it.
And not required by insurance.
Oh, man. Dude, it's almost 9 o'clock and it is still muggy as hell out here in the garage. One of these days, whenever I get rich and famous, or if I stumble across a package of square grouper that just happens to wash up on the beach somewhere, and if I can liquidate that, we're gonna look at maybe putting an air conditioner out here because this shit's getting hot, y'all. Growing up's for people who don't ride motorcycles. Well, yeah, ish. But sorry, y'all, I'm having to read and catch up here. I'm one of these people. I do not have the DNA to multitask, and the wife unit here, she absolutely disgusts me in that respect because legit types on average like 108, 110 words a minute and everything.
117.
Okay, whatever. But anyway, she'll be sitting there and she'll be just banging away on the keyboard and everything. And we'll be talking about something and she'll still be typing, maintaining eye contact with me while we're talking about something completely different. And I'm like, you suck. Square grouper, white lobster, you know. Two four, yeah, I kind of agree with you there for the most part on that, but I wow, this is getting kind of grim here. But I don't want to be that guy, where I've got to have somebody, changing my diaper for me whenever I'm bedridden and 80. all that. I'm just, nah, can't, nah, we ain't even going to talk about that. Drew, you're 100% correct in that. It can be green. Captain Jerry, thank you, brother. You ain't got to do that, but I damn sure appreciate it, man. And yeah, you make it down this way, I got you covered, son. Don't worry about that a bit. Well, see, that's the thing. This bike I've got over here, Salty Badger, is not the Dirtster. That's Daddy Dirt. That's the Dirtster's pot. That's the Dirtster's dad, is what it is. But it's parked right over there. But it's like I told everybody Monday night. From this point until I'm done with it, y'all are going to have to just sit tight and trust in the process here because I got a couple things that I'm doing to it, and I'm not going to let anybody see it until I'm done with it. Johnny, I hate to hear about that, brother. So as far as excuse me, as far as Petty Officer Squid Boy's bike goes, the Shadow's up and running and it's doing its thing. Uh, I had intended on starting on doing the gas tank and all that stuff over the weekend, but I got a kind of sort of nasty gram from the park manager that runs the retirement park where my mom's house is. And come to find out, I've got to move her air conditioner. And I never thought that this would be a thing. I never even thought to check actually, because I put a mini split in at my mom's place, a month and a half ago, something like that, because the AC, in her house just wasn't able to keep up during the heat of the day. So I put a mini split in her living room. And because that's where she spends the majority of her time during the day, because she's plugged into TV. And
watching you.
Well, my mom watches my YouTube videos, and I'm kind of like, gee, thanks, mom. Gee, mom, that's kind of creepy. But anyway, uh, so I put this mini split in there, and then she gets a notice from the park manager, and apparently I wasn't allowed to put the outside unit out in her carport. Now, since I moved my mom down here, she doesn't drive, so I just thought, well, put it right there. It's nice, neat, and simple. It's a mini split, so it's not like it's a big, huge thing. I mean, it sits like maybe a foot off from the wall, if that. So anyway, come to find out, it's against fire code, and it's not exactly the park manager riding in on her broom and her mood. It's actually a fire code thing down here. So long story short, I got to move that thing, and I've been trying to learn about doing AC on these mini splits because they use a different type of freon than like a normal hard install home AC unit. So I've been trying to absorb as much knowledge as I can about that to get the right stuff and be able to do the job without screwing it up. But anyway, that was kind of unexpected, so that kind of threw the schedule off a little bit. But we're going to get back on the Shadow this weekend, and we're going to get it back up on the lift and get some stuff going on it. We got to do a little bit of work on the handlebars because we're swapping bars and hand controls and stuff like that on there. Just something that fits him a little bit better, make him feel a little bit more solid on it since he's having to learn how to ride, after we get this bike done. So figure while we're at it, let's go ahead and make it fit him the way he wants to. Turnpop, actually, that mini split that I bought from my mom the other day, that thing was 540, if memory serves right. Showed up in 3 days, and it's rated as an 11,000 BTU unit. And dude, I'm telling you, that little thing is doing some work because it gets cold. Hey, old man, how you doing tonight? Hey, Alan Lawrence, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Dwight said 18 inches off the wall.
Actually, Dwight, on that one that I put in at mom's place, it uses R410. And that's kind of been the stumbling point at this point right now. Sprinkler system in the carport. Brother, I thought about that because
Florida, it's hurricane season.
yeah, well, I I made one of those little mister cages out of some of those patio misters, and I put it around the AC here at our place. And yeah, I got to clean the unit, pretty frequent because of all the buildup on it. I can't let it get away from me, but that made a big difference on there. Flash, yeah, definitely not that kind of OnlyFans. All right. I mean, there's a reason we don't show free feet pics on these live streams.
It's because you won't let me.
Hey, step up, woman. I'm talking about me. I mean, I don't want to scare people off.
Oh no, that's the falcon catching the fish.
You've got pretty feet. I got something that looks like it's fixing to swoop down and pluck its dinner out of a lake. Hey, Pete, how you doing this evening, brother? I got something coming your way, man. Actually, I'll shoot you an email on that here whenever we're done here tonight. Man, you ain't too far off the mark with that. Think Derpy Raptor, and you got it nailed right there. Now, Buck, the 410 stuff isn't flammable. The R32, it's and then like the newer R600 I found out about, it's basically a highly refined propane, and it's like better than 80% propane. That's what they're putting in the fridge in your house. If you go buy a new refrigerator here the past 3-4 years, man, I mean, if you got a leak, you're gonna thaw out stuff in the freezer real fast. I'll tell you that. Jerry, I agree with you, and I don't see the appeal. But hey, man, I'm not going to kink shame, so there's that. Yeah, that was a wild deal, Shelby. That thing that you come up with that showed that mister setup that goes on the handlebars.
Recommend the shotgun shell, as Corn Pop said.
That'd be cool if it was a portable thing, but I wouldn't want it put on my bike permanent now. Well, Pete, if you got to go, you got to go. I get it, brother. Have a good evening at work, man. I appreciate you stopping by, man. Hang on, let me roll up here because obviously I missed something pretty. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, Buck, I'm tracking now. Got it.
Reading is fundamental, according to my coworkers.
Well, actually, I wasn't reading. Well, yeah, I was kind of reading.
Reading is fundamental.
Reading is. Y'all hear how I sound? Okay. I mean, I'm not exactly what you would call a bright intellectual type. I'm a little slow on the uptake at times. What? What? What?
That is the most surprising thing ever, is whenever you tell people that we are from the same place.
Well, we are. It's just you. You have worked at shedding your lineage. Okay, I am your greatest shame. I know. I know. The reason why my wife sounds absolutely nothing like me, even though we're from the same hometown, my wife was actually born as a deaf mute, and you were 3 years old.
No, I was like less than 18 months old. I don't know.
Okay, well, anyway, she had several surgeries before, and she had tubes and all that stuff. So basically, she had to learn how to talk all over again, or talk period, and go through speech therapy and all that stuff. So she she sounds involuntarily vanilla. Let's put it that way. And
I sound vanilla.
yeah, well, the thing is like whenever she's at a work function or introducing me to her friends or something like that, that right there. That's when I turn the bumpkin on just a little bit more. And for some reason, people love the hell out of that. And she's looking for a hole to crawl off into. Let's see here. Where's my trophy for what? What are you talking about, Jerry? Man, running down the dream, dude. I hate to say it, but that is something that I will never say is got out of Texas and back to Arkansas. Um, I just, man, I ain't got nothing back there for me, brother. I don't. AJ, how you doing this evening? Sorry, I'm having to catch up here. Oh, Mr. John Stanley, we're on our best behavior whenever we're on these streams here. It's much more colorful whenever it's me and her. Uh, neither one of us want to catch a charge at this point in our lives, and I don't look good in orange.
I do.
Well, you do, yeah. I just can't pull that shit off though.
I can.
Oh, hey, Rainey, welcome in, brother. Yeah, pressure washer and safety flip flops are not good bedfellows, brother. Mr. G, how are you this evening? Evening, Buzz. How are you? Forgive me, y'all. I'm not trying to be rude, but fat guy got to eat. Jerry, you got that right. Scraping chunks off the rear wheel. Imagine that. I can't see why. I mean, surely that wouldn't affect balance or nothing. So I got a question for you guys. Me and Shelby were talking about this the other day, and the gauges that I was showing you guys on the vid with hen's teeth Monday night. We did the tool talk video the week previous, last Thursday about them. Those things are real hard to get where I'm wanting them to be at. So my initial thought is, where the hose connects to the gauge, about 3 inches down from that, cut the hose right there. Thinking about, putting something that has a standard size hole in it to act as a restrictor right there. So my first thought was like a pilot jet from a carburetor, something that's a standard size and something that everybody can get a hold of fairly easy. Evening, Alfredo. But anyway, if you guys have got a better idea than that, shoot me a message here or throw it in over on the Patreon, something like that. But right now, I'm thinking that's going to be the simple solution to calm those things down because while I was actually doing the work on that, there was a couple of times I'd shut the bike off and I'd look over and I'd have one or two of my gauges where they were still holding vacuum and they were stuck up. So that's no bueno. So if y'all got a better idea, throw it out there to me. I'm all ears.
I want to know what they want to name your hamster.
What, the hamster on the handlebar?
Yeah.
He's got a name. I told you, he's got a name.
You can't name him. They have to.
No, I have named him. All right. The handlebar hamster on the roadie, that is the evil Dr. Hamsterville. Okay. And that's just the way it is. That silly little grin he's got on his face, that's his look that says, somebody please, for the love of God, stop me before I kill again. And I mean, that's even before his little propeller thing just twirling around and around. Hey, sorry to hear you got the funk, Rainey.
No,
I mean,
you were saying how kind of sick.
Well, he's sick.
No, you were saying.
Oh, God, man, I'm sorry. Like I said, y'all, I'm kind of a computer idiot. So yeah, I've got my service wife here, and she's here to translate for me.
I will bill you later.
Well, we can negotiate that. Hey, Fergus. From Hamstervania. Possibly. I don't know. there's a lot of stuff that, I mean, I'll be cruising down the road and just kind of in the zone and everything, and I'll think, what would the hamster do? And he never answers me back. Corn Pop, I hear that from her literally every damn day. Okay, give me a break, brother. Yeah, Fergus popped in to say hi. Hamsterville. It's Hamsterville. I think he's German.
Enunciate.
The evil Doctor Hamsterville. Need metal, VFR 1200. Occasional stumble, but it clears itself out. Well, dude, I hate to say this, and I'm not picking on you here, but as vague as that is, start at the front wheel, work your way to the back, because it could be gas, it could be water sitting on top of a spark plug, it could be mileage, it could be an injector that's kind of halfway wonky, it could be throttle bodies out of sync. I mean, let's go down the list here. That list has got about 783 different boxes you can tick off. Hate to say that, man, but that's the way it is. It's one of them where you're just going to have to dive a little bit deeper and, start running down the basics and do the basic stuff first. Take a fuel sample out of it, see if you may have some water sitting on the bottom of the tank, and then just kind of work your way forward from there. Now, Salty, I'm not a hamster, and I'm not a Richard Gere fan either. That was a gerbil. But I have a pet hamster. Well, he's not a pet; he's a handlebar decor. That's Dr. Hamster Wheel. If you ever notice on the handlebar on my roadie and the opener for the videos, I got one of those little dinky hamsters with the crash helmet and the little goofy propeller on top of his helmet or on top of his head. Because I thought it was funny and it amuses me, and I'm immature like that. So there, random twitches. Well, Flash, I'm not even really thinking about something that threads in or anything. Think back to like the older style key and dirt bike carbs, where it was like the long hex main jet. Just push one of those up inside the hose to act as a restrictor. You just need four of them that are the same size. That way it keeps it consistent.
Okay, but can you please describe what the part is itself? Because he's getting a giggle out of how you say it.
What part? What are you talking about?
What is the name of the tubes?
The tubes? The hoses that come off the bottom of the carburetor gauges.
Yeah, what are they?
They're rubber tubes.
Bourbon.
Oh. Yeah. Apparently, I've been mispronouncing burden tube or burden tube for a gauge my entire life. So, yeah, there we go. Here's my sign. I'm stupid. Okay, now moving on. What is my favorite Japanese cruise bike if I had to pick one? Well, are you talking like or are you talking, like a touring bike like Goldwing? Because that's damn near the only thing that's out there anymore. I mean, as far as a cruiser type of bike, okay, yeah, V twin. I ain't gonna lie. Yamaha's pretty dialed in on their V twin stuff, especially with the newer bikes, the bigger ones like I mean, granted, yeah, I ride a Roadstar 1700, but the 1600 was not a bad bike. It just had a couple of quirks that you had to watch out for, particularly on the valve train. You had to feed it the right stuff or it'd smear cam lobes off. Kawasaki did awesome with it's just so big and so chunky underneath you. It can be a little intimidating, especially like driving in town. But the Suzuki VL 1500 They were pretty solid, especially if you got one of the fuel injected ones. The earliest ones, the first couple of years they were out when they were carbureted, they had a lot of carburetor problems. It was a quirk that was unique to those carbs on those bikes. That one I'd kind of pass on. But like Suzuki Intruders, solid as hell. They'll run forever. Probably the most miserable carburetor setup in the world, especially if you've got to rebuild them or adjust them. V Stars, yeah, they're out there anywhere and everywhere. Just feed them decent oil, adjust the valves in them every 20,000 miles. Don't beat the crap out of the starter if you got an 1100, and then just go on with life. So a lot of it comes down to what you find and what kind of shape it's in and how much you're willing to pay to get into it. Got to be careful with the propeller on the hamster helmet. Really? You wore the propeller off the top of your duck? Wow. Goals?
I mean, we can work on it.
Well, no, he's talking about, how he had a duck that had the propeller on top of it and he wore it off and it came off and smacked him in the head going down the road.
Well, those ducks always back up.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know about your duck, but on Dr. Hamsterville, the top of the propeller is chrome and it's pointy. And if that thing comes off there, it's going to look like he's wearing a telescoping butt plug. So I'm not sure which is going to be more interesting on that. We're going to have to let that one ride and see how it turns out.
Okay, but Neat Metal is asking you about a VFR 1200 that occasionally stumbles but clears itself out.
Hey, time out.
What are your thoughts?
We were there 5 minutes ago. I gave him a list on that one, babe. I'm sorry, I did. But Need Metal, I appreciate that, brother. Honda acknowledged issue. What do you mean by that exactly? I'm not really sure what you're saying there, bud. Yeah, Buck, you're not entirely wrong there either. Let's see here. Yeah, I agree with you. Roadies are going for short cash, and the resale value on them is pretty much bottomed out, and that's what makes them such a damn good deal these days. Because if you feed them the right oil and do just the bare minimum of basic maintenance on them, they will run forever. Honestly, when I bought mine, it had 45,000 miles on it. And it had been heavily, heavily abused and neglected. And I put another 40,000 on that motor, and I pulled the motor out. And actually, in all actuality, I'm gonna follow my own sword here. I thought I had a problem with the valve that was sticking in the valve guide because the '05 model year Roadstar was known for sticky valve syndrome because they had the tolerances too tight. I thought that's what I was getting into. Turned out it was a problem with my CDI box that would intermittently drop out, but it would do it in such a way to where it would still test that it was putting out a signal to the coil. The coil would test good. So at that point, I just surmised that it was a problem with an intermittent valve stick issue. So I changed a motor that was perfectly good, and I've got it sitting on a pallet at the shop for a rainy day whenever I need it. I mean, one of these days, if I get bored and I'm left unsaid and I got a little bit of budget to work with, I may build a hot rod Roadstar motor. Don't know, can't tell you, but they're a solid bike. I ain't gonna lie, and plus they're really easy to work with if you want to do something a little different, styling wise. Suspension mods, exhaust, yada yada. I mean, they're real versatile. They're a pretty easy platform to work with to modify. Got a duck with a propeller strapped to the hood of his Jeep. I can see that. I really can.
Jeeps are all about ducks. I mean, come on.
Well, most of the Jeepers I know, they've got a ducky fetish where they got like 73 of them in a collection on the dash, and it makes you wonder. Yeah, well, you're not wrong. It's shitbox Yamaglide, but it still works. Huh? Talking to Shelby.
So Neat Metal said that the bike occasionally runs on 2 cylinders and clears out like ignition. Honda was refused.
I was just now reading that. Okay, well, if it's running like it's dropping cylinders and running on 2, have you ever taken any steps to see if? And I know if it's an intermittent problem going down the road, it's not something you can do while you're riding, but you're going to have to isolate it down and see if it's consistent with the same cylinders that are dropping out on you, or if it's just random. How many miles do you have on this thing, by the way? I would really appreciate it if you'd stop shaking my table. That would be great.
It's not what you normally ask me.
I'm going to have to find a tactical piece of cardboard to put underneath one of the legs of my table here, because I got a spot in the floor of my garage where it's a little weebly. Salty, I've done the ATF injection trick many a time, and I've used it on everything from a riding lawnmower to a 464 and everything in between. And yeah, it works. If you're sticking a valve in an iron head, you got something going on there, man, because you can measure tolerances in those motors with a ruler. I mean, you got to work at it to stick something. Yamaha Harley on top. Well, you see, that's the thing. My roadie's got kind of an identity crisis on it because it's got so much damn Harley parts on the outside. It's kind of halfway starting to think it's a Road King. Shepsy, if you want to bring that 950 manual with you, brother, I'd greatly appreciate it. I don't have any use for it right now, but it'd be an awesome resource to have, man. If you come across somebody that's needing it, hey, let them have it. If they got the bike, they need the knowledge. But, I'd like to have it just to have on hand in case I need to dig in there and find something. That'd be great. Okay, so you got about 20,000 on this VFR. Um, hmm. Did Honda do a fuel pressure test on this bike? And also, whenever this happens on this bike, is it when you've got a kind of empty-ish tank of gas, like say quarter tank or lower, or is it just random at times? It doesn't really depend on, what the fuel level is. Because it sounds like you might have a fuel pump that's getting hot and binding a little bit, because if fuel pressure drops, the bike's going to nose over and just, feel like it's dropping cylinders, stuff like that. Because if the pump can't maintain pressure, the fuel injectors can't form the right spray pattern, and that's going to cause a misfire. And it's not something like that is most likely not something that's going to set a code, because even on the newer VFRs and the newer Honda EFI stuff, I don't think that Honda's monitoring fuel pressure like they do in an automotive application. So it probably never set a code for it. So you got to, see it with a manual mechanical gauge hooked into the fuel line. Hey, Flash, you talking about an early AMC era Jeep? My dad bought a '78 CJ5 when I was a kid. I think I was 6, maybe 7, something like that. But anyway, 304, 3-speed stick shift, basic Becky Jeep. Only option it had was the V8. The first time that it burnt, this Jeep burnt twice, and me and him were dumb enough to rebuild it both times. The first time it burnt was because it had an electric fuel pump that shorted out, and it spontaneously caught fire in the parking lot of Whirlpool when he was still working there. The second time, somebody tried to borrow the Jeep during deer season, and my dad ballistically stopped them from borrowing the Jeep, and they exited the Jeep very quickly because the ballistic method used caused a pretty dramatic fuel leak and subsequent fire. But we got the Jeep back. So Barry Crawford, that's awesome. See, babe, it's not just you.
Yeah, I just told him.
Elspec, what's up? How you doing? What? Sorry.
Yeah, I was telling Barry that we tend to multiply, but it was something that was totally unexpected, but why not adopt it? So here we go.
Buck, you're not wrong there, man. I've been coming across post-it notes for years that says I've poisoned something in the fridge. And
Good luck with that.
yeah, one of these days I'm gonna draw the short straw.
Actually, I've got a picture of Joe drinking a cup of coffee that has Sharpie written on it that this is poison.
You paid the chick at Starbucks to write that on there, okay? You did.
At whatever
did.
at whatever
did.
location
You
it
did.
might have been, I did not pay said barista.
It is a military thing. She won each unit wide. That's awesome, man. I'm loving that. Bike did it on the floor. Guy traded in because of that. Huh. You worked for Honda and they wouldn't do anything about it. Wow. Um, that's interesting. I wouldn't mind taking a stab at it, but I don't know exactly where you're located at or anything. But yeah, that'd be something like that. That's something where it's like, okay, it could be this and this and this, but it's totally random. Stuff like that, I have fun with. Um, I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with me, and I like to self punish.
There's a lot wrong with you.
Yeah, she's not wrong there. See, that's the thing. I don't know if you put it on a scope because to be able to see it on a scope, it would almost have to be something that you knew was ignition related. Now, if you've got a momentary blip in fuel pressure where it bottoms for a second, or even just drops off, 5-6 pounds, something like that. If you put it on a scope, I don't know if you'd ever see that, even if you were looking at the firing lines on there. I don't know. Hey, Shelby's hollering at you, bud.
Yeah, Shelby, what do you mean you can't see it?
Well, the thing is, you can watch injector waveforms, but the injector, it would depend on how Honda has the ECU set up to read cylinder misfire data. Then I would imagine that they're probably looking at each individual cylinder with its own timing and fuel curve, considering this thing's VTEC, because you got a lot of crossover from their automotive platforms with that. I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit of digging into it. You might be able to see it, but what you might be seeing, it may not necessarily be the injector waveform. You may be seeing the end result of the ECU tweaking the duty cycle on the injector in response to a cylinder dropping out. So, it's kind of one of those, what came first, chicken or the egg? Uh, yeah, yeah, no lie, I agree, man. Actually, my roadie, whenever it was doing the whole dropping out crap, it still does that occasionally. One of these days, I'm going to end up having to put a CDI box on the thing to fix it entirely. But it goes from a 1700cc V twin to basically an 850cc thumper that's a gutless wonder that's dragging 900 pounds worth of worth of bike around plus my big ass. So trust me, I get it. All right. Night, Corn Pop. I'll see you next trip, brother. Eh, man, I don't know. Like I said, in the case of your Honda, I'd have to dig around with it. I would be kind of curious to know if you could read live stream feedback data off of the ECU on that thing to where it would show you live stream, injector duty cycle per cylinder, not just as a broad spectrum batch number. Also, what it would show as far as I doubt that it's going to monitor O2 volts per cylinder. It might be something that That probably wouldn't do anything for you. The biggest thing would be the injector duty cycle, live value, and also if the ECU will relay that data out to a scan tool without having so much latency in it that the refresh rate is so slow that it's just inconclusive. Yeah, man, no worries. If you come up with something, like you said, holler at me over on Patreon. But if you come up with something, let me know because I'm definitely interested in that. It could be a connectivity problem on the engine management harness. Wiring issue. You might have a rub. It could be a fuel pump dropping out. Hell, for that matter, you might have a issue with the injector driver circuit in the ECM. Because, well, no, I wouldn't think it would be that because the way the cylinder V angle is on that, it's not going to pair fire injectors. Even though it's a V4, it's not going to hit two injectors and then two injectors alternate back and forth. They'd have to be timed to coincide with the intake valve opening event. Hey, Kevin, all good, brother. Flash, you're taking a walk down memory lane with that Jeep, man. I miss my J10 I had. That thing.
My God.
Yeah. You know the one I'm talking about. That thing was a beast. The curb weight on that thing. The VIN plate said the curb weight on that thing was like 8,200 pounds on a half-ton Jeep truck. Hey, Andy, welcome in, brother. It's all good. I don't care when you get here. I just appreciate you being here, man. I haven't looked at the Texas all that much, man. That's something I'm going to need to spend a little bit of time on and everything. Because honestly, something that high speed and sexy, where I'm at right now, I really don't personally have a need for it. But let me do a little bit of reading on that thing, try to learn a little bit because I know of it. I know it's out there, and that's about the extent of my knowledge of it right now. So if the thing will mow my yard for me and everything, and if it makes a mean beef stew, hey, I may throw some money that way, but it's going to have to be worth it for me. Mil spec, carb guys, squirty guys. At the end of the day, you got to be able to figure out how to get the fuel into the cylinder at the right time in the right quantity with the right amount of air and make it go boom and then repeat the process several thousand times a minute. But I'm totally tracking with you on there, man. Me personally, I prefer carburetors over EFI. Not so much that I'm going to poo-poo EFI bikes because EFI is a great thing. The consistency it has, the reliability of it, the convenience of it, it's great. But it's a it's a vibe thing. What it boils down to is you do me or you do you. This works for me. That kind of thing. Can you cover in video on how to tell when an S&S carb is tuned in for one touch start if possible without running too lean? Well, I hate to tell you this, but the sad reality of it is, yes, you can tune an S&S carb in for one poke start, and it will be good until the next day, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Basically, if the ambient temperature changes 15 degrees or more, or if your humidity level, makes a significant swing up or down, it's going to drift a little bit because they're just a very, very crude, very simple carburetor, and yet, they're very easily influenced by their environment and ambient temperature and ambient humidity. Hey Ty, what's happening, man? Glad you made it, dude. So you're batting 500 right now. This is the second one we've done. Let's see here. Sorry, y'all, I'm reading. Can't do that. One of these days, I'm going to get all fancy and stuff and have one of those little, ear mics that gives you the rundown as you're going.
You would probably hear my voice.
Maybe I hear your voice in my sleep. And a lot of times it's usually because I did something that pissed you off or I'm in trouble for something.
It's okay. I don't remember it when I wake up.
Well, I do, and that's the bad part. Remember that morning I woke you up with a pillow and you scared the shit out of me?
Okay, I genuinely did not know who you were, where I was, or what was going on.
Okay. My wife is a very heavy sleeper. I'm a heavy sleeper, but she takes the cake. Now, my wife is not a morning person, and it takes a few minutes for all the pieces and parts to fall into place whenever she first opens her eyes in the morning. So anyway, a couple of years ago, she's got a day off. She ain't got to go to work, nothing like that. This is when you were still working from home, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was doing all of the volunteer work then.
Okay, all right. So that's been what, about 4.5 years ago?
No, we're talking like 8 or 9.
Okay, well anyway, it doesn't matter. But she's sleeping in. I gotta get up and go to work. I gotta turn the light on to where I can, find my wallet and shit like that and everything. So I think I'm doing the proper thing because I've done this literally hundreds of times and she never noticed it, never woke up or twitched. I get a pillow. I'm going to lay it over her head just to keep the bedroom light from shining in her eyes, waking her, all that. Anyway, right about the time I'm about here with this pillow, her eyes just snap open like a bear trap. And she screams at the top of her lungs. I scream like a little bitch. The pillow goes flying, winds up in the ceiling fan. I thought I peed myself for a little bit. And she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm over here just trying to, swallow to get my heart to go back in my chest because she legitimately scared the shit out of me. And this is before she's awake. She's on autopilot at this point. So you can only imagine how bad it would have been if she was 100% in control of her mental processes. But the funniest thing about that whole thing is about 45 seconds later when we're, not running at red line on the heart rate and stuff like that.
Still not awake.
You weren't awake. You're trying to go back to sleep, and I'm walking out the bedroom, and I'm like, and I got, I'm got cold sweats and all that going on, and all of a sudden I just hear, "Thank you for not strangling me," and I'm like, "Where the fuck did that come from?" What, these shirts? Dude. Huh?
I sent him the link.
Oh, you sent the link? Okay. Yeah.
1D.
Yeah. 1D. Apparently, how you spell that makes a big difference on how it pops up on Google. So pay attention to that. She's got spell check hardwired into her brain. Apparently, I don't. A few videos ago, I accidentally sent some people to the wrong website. And
I had to fix that.
If you were one of the ones affected, there's 2 outcomes here. I apologize profusely, or you are welcome. Man, you guys with all your Jeep talk over here, you make me miss my old honcho. Thing was slow as hell, but it'd pull a house down. Mil spec. So have you still got your Shadow 700, or are you reminiscing here? Because the timing marks on those, if I remember right, they go off of the seam on the case split on that. That's your timing mark, man. I'm pretty sure. I need to look in the book and check, but I'm thinking yes, so. All right, Randy. Cat's still there. He's still a little hairy ass whore. You know how he is, man. Jester's back. Remember the little derpy cross-eyed cat that we've got? He went on a walkabout and was gone for about 2.5 months, but he come back a couple weeks ago. Oh my God, Flash, you got AMC Eagles? Dude, I had an Eagle Sport. My dad bought this thing as like a cheap get around winter car, It had 4.2 in it, 4-speed, and it looked like a Chevy Chevette with a lift kit on there. I mean, it was the most butt ugly car in the world because it was like that mustard turd brown. But dude, that thing was like the burnout champion. I mean, that thing would roast the right rear tire with no issue anytime you had it in first or second gear. Oh, John, you finally found him. Cool, man. Milspec, if you get in the jam on that and you want to dig back into it and try to move forward on it and get that thing up and running, holler at me over on Patreon, man. Just go over there, jump on that, sign up as a free member. But there's a tab on there that says message creator. That's just how you DM me over there, man. Give me a shout. If you need something, I'll do whatever I can to help you out, man. Barry, I got to agree with you on that. But one thing that most people don't know is that AMC invented probably the best form of birth control in the late 70s and early 80s whenever they brought that thing out. Because I don't care what kind of game you got. If you're driving an Eagle, you're already stacking the deck against you. I mean, it's all cool and retro nowadays, but back in, dude, that thing was like having a balloon up above your head that said, "Somebody, please help me."
Visit 2 points.
Julie Smith's like, now we need the other one so they can duel.
Speaking of dueling, motorcycle jousting with lightsabers, but instead of motorcycles, they are riding pygmy goats with pool noodles. I like this concept.
You know that label on the bottle that says "Do not take this with alcohol"? They put that there for a reason,
That is not on my shampoo, thank you.
Yeah, a buddy of mine had a Pacer in high school. I think it was like a greenhouse on 4 wheels. Had a 04 Grand as your first ride? Damn, dude. We had a 94 Grand Cherokee, 318, full-time 4-wheel drive. That's what we drove down here from Eastern Oklahoma the first time I ever brought the kids down here to Disney back in 06 when they were, still tiny and fun-sized. And yeah, Death Wobble was a thing back then too. Let me tell you, when you're going through the middle of downtown Atlanta at, 3 o'clock in the morning and it's a freaking ghost town and that shit sets in, that will wake you up with a quickness. Yeah, I agree with you on the stupid vacuum 4-wheel drive. That was dumb. All I had to do was just give you a lever. Clunk, done. Kevin Tomes, I understand your pain, and we'll pass the hat around for your therapy. We will. I can't say that with a straight face, man. I mean, the Eagles literally look like a Chevy Chevette that somebody, bubbadized and put a lift kit underneath there. That's the first thing that's always stuck in my head about them. Fishbowl on wheels. Man, we got way the hell off in left field talking about Jeeps and Eagles and all this stuff, but that's cool, man. I mean, I'm having a good time with it.
I know. I mean, tonight we were intending to, we gave them information about, extra details with hen's teeth. And there's some upcoming events that we've not yet touched on.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest here, folks. If you guys are here and you're hanging out, then Obviously you've not been in cryostasis or living under a rock for the last 5 years. Y'all all know about Forgotten Angels and what's behind it, what it means to a lot of people. Also, see reference about, under rock habitat. Weirdos Camp Out is coming up, we're a month out, basically. We're roughly 30 days out at this point. So, third weekend of October, right before, Halloween. I'm looking forward to meeting as many of you guys are going to be able to make it down here. We'll be there. We'll be hanging out. But if you don't know about FA or what they do, go look them up. It's ForgottenAngelsFlorida.org. Life in it just threw the link up there. But do a little bit of reading, take some time, educate yourself. The main thing is share it. Facebook, Instagram, whatever, carrier pigeon.
About the mission.
The main thing is to help get word out, because the more people that are aware of it and what they do and what they stand for and what their goals are, more people are going to be able to, hey, I can help out with this. Hey, I've got an idea that can help out with this. Hey, I know a guy that can help you with that. That's how it spreads, y'all. First page. Yeah, Buck, I know. I get it. Oh yeah. Rainy. Yeah. I'm gonna be on Rainy's live stream not this Saturday night, but next Saturday night. He's gonna pick my brain and probably ask me a bunch of really tough and awkward questions, and there may be some math involved. And if that's the case, I'm gonna have to pull off a shoe, but I don't know. We're gonna muddle through as best we can.
Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Hey, Extreme Bat. Are you legit? Do you live in Fort Smith? Like currently? That's awesome, man. Small world. That guy Ty, man, I'm looking forward to it too. It's a hell of a good time. The camp out back in the spring, we were out of town and we were hauling ass back here, and I was sick as a dog, and we still had a good time, man. After being out and hanging out with people for 15 minutes out of the car and everything, I was feeling a hell of a lot better.
What's funny is earlier today, whenever I was at work, the colleague that I'm with right now was talking about how many times that he had flown into the Fort Smith Regional Airport.
Yeah.
And he was trying to describe certain areas and directions to certain places. And here I am working on a document. And at the same time of listening to him, I'm pointing out, oh, yeah. So you're talking about the building that is off of Phoenix and Rogers there at the corner. Or, yeah, you're talking about going up 40 this way and looking to the left. And he was just like, oh, I didn't know it was that way. Yeah.
Oh, stop. Your level of detail is making my brain hurt. It really is. I mean, ow. You remember more about that shit than I do, and we're both from there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I got too much shit rattling around in my head. We'll go with that.
It's the Rolodex.
Hey, yeah. Barry Crawford. My in-laws are just across the river from Fort Smith and Gans, Oklahoma. Oh, man. Been there more than a few times. Milspec, I'm not sure who you're talking about, but if you're talking about me, no. That's a hard no on that, Bubba. Podo, Oklahoma, and LaFleur County. I worked in Podo, Oklahoma for.
Squidboy was born in Podo.
Yep, Petty Officer Squidboy was born in Podo. But yeah, I worked in Podo for about 2 years, and making the daily commute from Sallisaw to Podo and back, that wasn't no fun. But if you guys are familiar with the Eastern Oklahoma area like that, y'all probably know about this magical little place called Wild Horse Mountain Barbecue. It's right off 59 South, just on the outskirts of Sallisaw, Oklahoma, about a mile outside the city limits. If you haven't been there and you're in the area, stop in. I promise you, it's the best barbecue you'll ever put in your mouth. Kudos to your permanent address. Yeah. Yeah, if you get a chance, swing by Wild Horse and tell Dale I said hi.
Tell him I said hi.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you there, Andy. I hear you there. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I had to put it together in my head about what you said about your hard drive. Sherry's Diner and Salsa's near. I don't.
What was that Mexican restaurant?
Caporales.
Caporales.
Yeah,
Oh my
Caporales
God.
was awesome. Well, then you had Mr. Jimmy's. You had Mr. Jimmy's that was downtown, and then you had Caporales that was there on oh man,
That was Madison before it turned into Cherokee.
no.
That I just knew it as
Anyway.
59.
Yeah. I don't know about Sherry's Diner, but there used to be a place right there at the light where 59 South cut across Cherokee, which is Highway 64. It's called Skips. That was good stuff back then. Yeah, Buck Brown, we talked about that, and that's a conversation for a later date and time, brother. But I do appreciate you giving me the phone call and giving me the heads up on that. That guy's thinking about it. If that's who I'm thinking about. If you can't start electrolysis on a tank right away, what can you do to temporarily stave off flash rust? Well, if you got rust in the tank now and you don't have the chance to cook it and float the stuff out of there, depends on the severity of it. If it's real fine, like dust rust, don't sweat it. You know, take some 2-stroke gas, like gas for your weed eaters, got a little 2-stroke oil mixed in there. Throw it in there, roll it around. That little bit of oil film will keep it from progressing any worse. If it's kind of moderately rusted, you can do the same thing. It's just you might want to put a little bit more than more than a quart or so of fuel in there, and then about once every week or so, shake it up just to redistribute the oil film inside there to keep it at bay. I mean, if it's like bad, then I mean, you're going to have to cook it and get all that stuff out of there anyway. So that you're really not losing anything unless you plan on setting that thing up on a shelf somewhere for the next 5 years before you touch it again. So. Bobby Lineberry. That name sounds very, very familiar. I can't put a face with it, but that name sounds real familiar to me for some reason. Look, absolutely, brother. You can put anything you want on here because I said so. Perfect GPS voice. Yeah, the only problem is you gotta. Well, they make you sign some type of an agreement for doing stuff like that, I'm sure, and nobody in their right mind would do something like that with me, Flash. I hate to say it, but the minute let's put it to you like this: if your car started screaming at you, "Hey, dumbass, you got to turn back around and you see that barbed wire fence there, you got to go past that a quarter of a mile and then turn left, dummy." Nobody's going to buy that. I'd buy it, but I'm weird like that. My my old GPS that I had forever, like I bought 15 years ago.
Oh, you're talking about your 2007 Garmin?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, sweet guy.
yeah. But anyway, trying to remember her name. The voice on there.
It was
Cougar Randy. If you guys had a Garmin product, 10 years plus ago, and y'all remember nav tones, I'm dating myself hard there. Real spec, you got that right. I tried the whole, wrap a tank up in a blanket and stick it in the dryer with nuts and bolts inside there. My God, man, that sounded like somebody ran over a fire hydrant with a combine. I would never do that. I mean, if I was desperate enough, yeah, I'd do it again, but I ain't that desperate. If I got electricity, I'm good. Jim Zama, that's basically what Cougar Randy was, okay? No, my butt.
You don't have a butt. You have a back with a crack.
Well, still, whatever I got, it was sore from sitting in one spot on this bar stool for a little bit, and I had to get up and get a refill on my tea and let some of the blood flow back into it. Oh, oh man! If I could get Arlie Army on my GPS or my Google Maps on my phone, that would be outstanding. That would be out. That would be out fucking standing. Oh man. Knees and breeze, if you got to take off, don't feel bad because we ain't too long from shutting it down here. I appreciate you stopping in though, man. Hope you got a laugh or two.
It's okay. It's basically the bloopers.
Great. Now you got Miss Carpenter laughing at me about your comment about my back with a crack.
It's okay. Adopt it. It's a thing.
Gordon Ramsay is a GPS voice.
I'll keep my British beauty.
Right. What porn star do you have for your GPS voice? I don't recognize her.
You wouldn't. She's literate.
Okay.
But seriously, we are genuinely looking forward to the end of October.
We are, and I know I talk a lot of shit on here, and it's about as random as a Ritalin fueled cockroach in the middle of a room with a bunch of searchlights that just came on. But I am looking forward to meeting up with you guys. If you guys can make it to the camp out this year, this fall here next month, definitely holler at me. We're going to be out there hanging out. We're going to be camping out there. We're going to be out there all 1, 2, 3. Well, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, well, we're going to be there all 4
I got
nights.
vacay.
Yeah, the wife unit took a week off work. Me and Shelby are going to have to figure out how we're going to juggle that one, but we'll pull something out of our ass. But seriously, I'm looking forward. I've met a lot of you guys in the past. I'm looking forward to meeting a hell of a lot more of you because if I can walk up to you, hand you a beer, shake your hand, and give you a hug, that just means a whole hell of a lot more to me. Don't get me wrong, it means a lot. You guys showing up and just hanging out to bullshit with us, but when you get to that eyeball to eyeball next level weird, that's when you make a friend. But at the end of the day, we all need to think about why we're doing this. And at the end of the day, we're trying to raise awareness for forgotten angels here, okay? And we've got our own kooky way of doing that. There may be fire. There may be things that we can't put on YouTube. There may be things that are said that people would normally look at you and go, what in the hell is wrong with you? But it's all in good fun. And the thing is, it's going for a damn good cause, too. Let's be real here. These young men and women that are out there at FA, they're basically the castaways, if you will. And everybody turns a blind eye to all the kids that were turned and have aged out of the foster care system because they get looked at as a number, and that ain't right, because every single one of them is an individual. Every single one of them has their own story, and they have, their own story that's yet to be written. The thing is what Forgotten Angels provides for these young men and women is it's something that will have a positive impact moving forward on how that story plays out. It gives them the opportunity to get solid feet underneath them and help develop that sense of I am someone and I have worth. And it keeps them from falling into that same cycle and unfortunately becoming a statistic like so many people do. And if you can do it, just if you can help one person here, one person there, one person there, one after another, after another, after another, those numbers build, those numbers grow. And the more people that you make aware of it, the more people that know about it, the more people will start talking about it and having this conversation instead of it being pushed off to the side as an ugly, inconvenient truth. Um, there's only so much that a person can whitewash away, if you will, until the hard facts that are presented to them actually land on them and they take notice of it. And this is a war of repetition and attrition, if you will, because the more we discuss this, the more we talk about this, the more we promote the mission of Forgotten Angels, the more that we talk about all the good that they do for these young men and women that are out there, the more that word spreads, and the more that legacy spreads, and the more that reach spreads. As that reach spreads, those facilities and those I can't even think what I want to say right now, but those opportunities spread as well to where this can be available to say 500 young men and women in a year's time. 2 years from that can be available to 2,500 young men and women in 2 years' time. And it grows exponentially from that point moving forward. And it all starts with one person taking the time out of their day to have a discussion. That's where it starts at. That's the catalyst for it. And it grows from there. So keep in mind, we all like to, do goofy shit, screw around and have a good time. And far be it from me to turn down somebody that hands me a cold adult beverage and say, hey, I grabbed this for you, because, that's a polite thing to do. And it's very, very appreciated. But stop and think about why we're all getting together, here next month and the reasons behind that. Think about why we're there. Think about what's important. What? No, what?
It is important.
Yeah, it's important. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm preaching here. I'm not. Uh my my wife can relate to a lot of the circumstances with the guys that are out at Forgotten Angels, because she grew up in a very difficult environment, if you will. That's not my story to tell. That's hers. Now, if you guys make it out to the camp out, this is something that she's talked about at length with people for several years, and it was part of
It took a while.
it was part of a process for her to help get right with herself and move forward and deal with some stuff that she'd been carrying around inside of her a long time. And you know, come up to her, hit her up. She'll gladly share her story with you. I don't want to do it right here because I won't do it the justice that it deserves, and I don't feel that it's right for me to misrepresent her experiences, because that's something that's unique to her. But also, I don't want to get the facts and the details incorrect, because that's something that she lived. That's something she had to grow up with. I mean, it's rough. I ain't gonna lie, but that's something that she'll share freely with you guys. So just come on out, find us. We'll be around. Look for the guy with the really obnoxious looking shirts. Usually they're like a bright color, occasionally day glow. But big fat guy. It's not like I can get lost behind a tree unless it's a big damn tree.
We have a shirt that says something about smut.
Yeah, you probably will.
I mean, books. Yeah, books.
Let's see here. I'm sorry, I got to read and catch up a little bit.
Buck has been on point, by the way.
Buck is always on point because Buck is the man. I mean, this is probably a really bad analogy, but I truly believe that Buck Brown is reincarnated from a all-state cheerleader from way back when.
Okay, I am never putting on those Spanx or that skirt again.
Yeah, she was a cheerleader back in high school.
Yeah, I left that.
All right, Laura. Good night, y'all. I love you too, hon. Thank you for coming to hang out with us because this has been very random and very erratic, but I appreciate you hanging out with us nonetheless. So anyway, gang, uh, it's 10 o'clock, and I know that a lot of you guys have got work tomorrow. I know I do. I know I got a lot of stuff I still got to do around the house here, and I've blathered on for 90 odd minutes now at this point, and I got an apple pie sitting here with my name on it. It's just begging for me to do something with it. Not like that, you freaks. But anyway.
Well,
I'm going to stick this thing in the microwave and kind of rejuvenate it a little bit. But anyway, just kind of wrap things up here. Want to let y'all know I appreciate y'all putting up with me. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. And I'll damn sure look forward to seeing you guys at the camp out if you can make it down here next month. If not, we'll catch up sometime, somewhere, someday. But until then, we'll be hanging out here. We're going to be back to doing our normal thing on Monday nights. And then basically, we'll just pull something out of our ass and figure it out from there, okay? How's that sound? 605 Yak Angler. Yeah, man, you've been messaging me over there on Instagram. Dude, honestly, if you had those carbs done in 2019 and it's been sitting and only been ridden a couple of 100 miles since then, that's your problem, man. You may not have a carb stopped up, but you've definitely got some buildup going on there that's restricting, airflow through the air bleeds on the pilot circuit. And that's probably where you're getting the majority of your popping from. But one thing that you might consider doing is have the valves checked as far as valve lash adjustment. Have those checked because if you've got valve that back in the late 70s, early 80s, Honda really liked flirting with really, really tight valve clearances. So they kind of get too greedy, and if the valves wear just a little bit, they're not going to seal all that great, and that can be the start of what you got going on with what you're experiencing on the bike right now. But try what I told you with the Techron. I think you'll see some results from that, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's something you're going to have to run a couple of tanks worth through just to see if it clears out for you. Okay. Flash, I get that, dude. My dad used to say the same thing all the time. But I appreciate you hanging out with us, brother. I'll catch you later on, man. So anyway, on this, I'm getting told by mom it's my bedtime.
no, I'm telling you that Buck has an amazing point to make.
Okay, Buck, whoop it on me here. Yeah, Buck. Yeah, you're bang on with that, dude. Always, absolutely. I mean, I talk people up about FA, at the grocery store, at Walmart, shit like that,
Parking Mafia.
Yeah, whenever we're hanging out at a very large, very well known theme park here in the Central Florida area that a lot of you people may know of. But anyway, like I said, I've tried to wrap this thing up like 3 times now. But anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. This was fun. This was fun. I enjoy doing these things. May not get a whole hell of a lot done, but I damn sure get a few laughs out of it. Okay. Hey, Tommy. Hey, brother. I'm just glad to see you here, man. John, bye. I can take the hint. I love y'all. Until next time we get together and do one of these things, y'all have fun. Be good or be good at it. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Okay. Nighters. Chubby guy out.